Hello, I'm Catherine from my hillside garden, Northeast Pennsylvania, Zone 6. Today we need to put some more seeds in to get them ready for the garden this year. We have some more onions, some shallots, I'm going to do some rosemary, and we also have celeriac to do. So join me today as I do a little bit of planting and a little bit of talking. Alright, I'm using the black gold seedling mix. I like that the best. And what I did was I had put some into this bin first and I moistened it. You want your seed starter mix to be moist, not totally dry, and it should have a consistency to hold together in a ball but still be able to crumble apart fairly easily when you put it into your cell packs. Then I put it in each cell pack, I tamped it down very nicely, and I made out my labels. Very important to always label your seeds when you put them into the cells, because if they get mixed up, you don't always even know what they are, even after you've planted them. So I got them all ready, and I have the name of what it is written on it, plus I put an S and today's date, meaning seeded. I'm going to start out with the rosemary. One of the things I love about gardening is getting to share with my friends. I do need a new rosemary plant for myself, but since the cell has 6 spaces, I'm going to do some extras, and that way I can share them with my friends. And also this gives me a chance, if all of them don't come up, I still have a chance to have some plants for myself. So I'm just going to put 2 or 3 on the top of each of the cells. There's 6 in this little tray. And then what I'll do is I will cover them up very gently. They're a very, very small seed, almost like a sesame seed. And they don't need much of a cover. They were easy to grow. I've grown it before. This is a little bit older seed. It is from 2015, and it says it only needs to be sown about 1/16 of an inch, and that it needs 70 degrees to germinate, and it is warm enough in the house for that. So, and then all I'm going to do with these is I'm just going to poke them in a little bit, make sure they're covered up, and I hope you're getting a good view of that. It's not complicated. So you just cover it over, and I'm going to be keeping all the trays, all the cell trays in this particular large tray. And since these are a little bit, if I put these plant labels in, see how high they are, they'll bump up the lid of the tray until they're germinated, and we can't have that. So I just lay them across on there like that. Now the shallots, we're going to do those. I know how many I need for my garden plan. I need 18. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to plant a little bit more than that, because whenever you have seeds, you don't know for sure what the germination rate is going to be. You're going to want to put a couple of extra seeds in. This says about 1/4 of an inch deep. So here's my shallot tray. I'm just going to make little holes. And what I found, when you have a seed that needs to be a certain depth, if you make a hole in your seed cell that's about that deep, the seed will almost naturally fall right into that hole. And then you don't have to worry about where you put it. Shallots are in the onion family, so their seeds look just about exactly like onion seeds, so that's why I said make sure you have your markers out, otherwise you might not know which was which. So I know I need 18, and I'm probably going to plant 2 in each hole. So, oh, there's a couple extras. They're a little bit hard to, there's plenty of things you can do to get an exact amount if you want to. I'm not that concerned because I know I have extra places where I can put any extra plants that come up, or as I said, I can share them with a friend, which is really a nice thing to do. A lot of people don't realize that just in a container on their deck, they could grow a variety of things and have enough just for salads for their home. So I like to share things with people so that they get an idea of what they can grow. Alright, so that's probably 3 in each. Well, about 6 in each, I think. So that'll give me enough for extra and any problems with germination. I've never done celeriac before. That's my one that I'm trying this season to see how it comes, whether I like it. A friend of mine has asked me to grow it, and from what I understand, they don't like to be transplanted so much. So I'm going to do some in a seed cell, and then I'm going to take toilet paper tubes and sow a few in those, just so that I have a backup. And I'm going to plant some here in my zone 6 garden and some in my zone 7 garden. So it says to start 10 to 12 weeks before the last frost, about 1/4 inch deep, and that they like 70-degree soil temperature. So we're going to open this up, and I always enjoy when friends will ask me to try something new, or if I'm growing something in particular, I always like to try something new. Now, I've never even eaten celeriac, but my girlfriend asked me to grow it, so I'll grow a couple for her and a couple for us. And oh my goodness, those seeds are tiny like carrot seeds, even tinier, I think. I hope you'll get to see these. Oh my goodness. Can you see how small they are? I think they're smaller than carrot seeds are. I hope you're getting a good view of that. So it says they want to be planted 1/4 inch deep. So what we're going to do, I'm going to do, I think, if I can, get 2 into each. So that would be a total of 8 if they come up. So we'll see what happens. But they're so, oh my goodness, they're so tiny. Let's see. I don't even know. Yeah, there they go. It's a good thing they're a light color against the soil, so at least you can see them when they're going in. And having that little hole is really helpful right now. I don't know, planting them in the garden, oh my goodness. You really would have to mix them with sand, I think, to be able to see where they're going. But I'm excited. I really am excited to be trying something new and to be sharing it with you. So hard. I might even cover this over because it was so hard to see. I'm pretty sure the seeds went into those little holes I did. I may even put a little cover over them. I'm going to tamp them down a little bit just to make sure they're in contact with the soil. And that's my shallot label, and here is my celeriac label. Oy, don't want to get those mixed up. The last 2 things we have to do today are our onions, the Walla Walla and the Parade onions. They're the same small, tiny little black seed that looks like coal. I'm excited to be doing the Walla Wallas again. I only got a couple of them last year, so this year I'm going to plant a little bit more. And I'm just going to mix this soil up just a tiny bit, and I'm going to drop the seeds. They're going to be overplanted a little bit. I know how many I need according to my garden plan. I need 12 plants, but onions you can always stick in a container somewhere. Like we have plenty of containers on the deck or a small spot that might have a vacant space. What happens sometimes is what they call, or what some people call, misfires. You plant a row of, say, carrots, and you have a 2-inch strip that nothing comes up there. So instead of leaving that ground empty for the weeds to grow, you could always pop in something that you have a little extra of, like onions. And who doesn't love onions, whether they're green onions or the size of scallions? They're so nice and fresh. So there's our Walla Wallas, and we're just going to do that again, just to make sure they get in. Mix them up, tamp them down. You want to make sure your seeds have good contact with the soil, and that way you'll have better success rate. And we just have the parade onions left. It might seem kind of funny that I would be planting so many onions, but we like storage onions, so those stay a long time in the ground, and that's why I did the other video with those onions. They'll go to our Zone 7 garden, where I plant things that tend to be in the ground a long time because I don't get there very often. And some of these will be in containers here at my hillside garden or in some of the beds around the yard. And that way we don't just have storage onions, we have onions we can use in the spring and all through the summer. It's part of why we like to grow our own vegetables so that we can enjoy them all season long. I'd love to hear about anything that you grow in your garden, or if you have some tips for me on growing onions. One of the things I've been having a problem with when I grow my onions in my Zone 7 garden is occasionally when you go and cut the onion open, if I think of it, I'll try to post a picture in between so you could see what I'm talking about. But you know how onions have the rings? Well, sometimes one of the rings in the middle of the onion will be almost rotten. Not that the whole onion is rotten, the outside isn't rotten, but the inside, it's soft and brown, just one ring of it. So if you know the reason why that happens, if you could let me know, I'd appreciate it, because, and it's not all of the onions, it's just every once in a while we'll cut one open and that's what we find. So if you have a suggestion for me, I'd love to hear it. Please put a comment in the box below. Hit like if you thought this was a good video, subscribe to my channel, share it with your friends. Happy gardening.